What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Hot Fat Guy Club podcast. All of my hot fat guys, gals, and non-binary and trans pals, I am so glad that you're here today. I have a new friend with me. This is Alex, who is a member of the Hot Fat Guy Club. I have never spoken to Alex before, and I am so fucking happy that they are here today. Alex, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. My back hurts, and it's hot as balls in New York City, but it could be worse. How about you,
Yeah.
my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing good. It's also hot as balls in LA, so that's fun.
We came to know each other. You sent me a DM on Instagram the other day. You are also a performer. You're a singer.
Yep.
You're an actor.
Yep.
You're a hot fat guy.
Yeah. I would like.
And you're going through it right now, yeah?
Yeah. 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 Yes. Yeah,
All
I
right.
am.
What's going on, man?
Well, I mean, like, I just graduated college. And I for a while, like, well, I guess ever since I started acting, there was always been this push and pull in my head of do I lose weight or do I keep the weight? Does it make me more hireable or less hireable? Which one will it be? Right?
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
be- because there are roles specifically for fat guys, not very good roles most of the time, but there are roles there. And I'm like, well, if I lose the weight, am I going to be less hireable, or am I finally going to fit the mold that they want me to fit? So that's always kind of a push and pull. At my school, I tried to push that out of my head as much as possible, but now I'm graduated, so I'm out on my own now, and I got a girlfriend and a dog and myself to support um, jointly with her, but now I'm like, shit, I'm not good at basically anything other than what I've studied for the past 4 years.
Yep.
But the thing that I've studied for the past 4 years has so little job opportunities. My head is kind of swimming,
Yep.
and I start to wonder, like, is it because of my weight? Is it because I don't fit the mold that they want me to fit so badly?
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a struggle that I've had for many years, but it's been coming up recently. Even though I like the way I look, I'm
Mm-hmm.
cool with it. If I stay, this hulking mass for the rest of my life, I'm good with that.
Yep. Good. You're
Um,
further ahead on the path than I was when I was your age.
well, and that took a long time. I was not like that even like a year and a half ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now it's the outside voices, and of course, you try to drown out the outside voices as best you can, but especially in this industry, as you know, those outside voices determine whether you make a living or not.
I know all too fucking well, in fact. Man, it's a hard place to be in because it's, in a visual medium, there are always those people that, let's just say, quite frankly, have shitty taste. And we as fat guys in the performing arts, we always get pigeonholed into the funny guy, the dumb guy, the comic relief, the mob boss, like the rich guy who bought the attention and affection of people, right? And
Right.
it's really difficult when not only on you are you when it's very difficult when you're on your self-acceptance journey to be like, I am more than just what my outward appearance is, but also you have to type yourself into certain roles and opportunities like that in order to be able to make a living. I don't know what your experience has been with people telling you to lose weight, but like 90% of the reason, that's not true, 51% of the reason I became an opera singer was because of Pavarotti and the fact that the most famous singer ever, in modern history at least, was quite literally a hot fat guy, and a fat hot fat guy. He was huge. And I had this expectation going into that industry that, like, oh my God, I'm not going to be Shapoopy for my whole career now. I don't know the name of that character from The Music Man, but like, I'm not going to be that guy for my whole career. Thank God I'm not going to be the character actor and pigeonholed into these shitty little comic relief fat guy roles for my whole life now. I can be the leading man. And then, much to my chagrin, I get into the opera world, and every single coach, teacher, conductor, director, you name it, is like, yeah, lose 150 pounds and you'll have a career. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, fuck you. Fuck
Yeah.
you. And then I did lose 175 pounds. And even then, it was like, nah, you're still too fat. Fuck you. Like, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to become a 2D character so that when I turn to the side, you can't even see me? Is that what the end game is here? And
Yeah.
it's very difficult when you're dealing with shitty, annoying decision makers and tastemakers who have internalized their own. Basically, at the end, when it really comes down to, if I had to make a really gross generalization of this, is that people only hire who they want to fuck. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people with a really small window of what they're interested in. And it is one of those things where, like, we can't even say that the cream rises to the top anymore, because I mean, we can see a lot of curdles at the rise of the cream
Right.
in the performing industry, and like, that's without even getting into the nepo baby conversation. But it makes it incredibly difficult for a person of size like us. Like, we're aware of our talent, we're aware of our skill, we know what we bring to the table, but like, we're not going to get cast to play Edmund in Long Day's Journey into Night kind of thing, you know? Like, Edmund, by the way, for those who don't know, is a character with tuberculosis, and he's very frail and dying. And what with all of that external pressure of, like, I have to pay my bills, I have to support my family, I have to eat, and everyone who has the ability to hire me or sign me to something is telling me that I have to lose weight, like, is that really true, or is that their own internalized bias that's pushing me to do this? And you're 22, I assume, 23?
22.
Yeah. So, you're at the worst point in your life right now, honestly. Like, 22 sucks. Your early 20s are a fucking nightmare, because you're, if I remember when I graduated college, I jumped into a corporate job to just, like, I took a year off of school. I was planning on getting a master's, and I jumped into a corporate sales job. And I remember just being like, man, this is what being an adult is? We were lied to.
Yeah.
It all was a lie. This is
Mhm.
terrible. All I do is work. I make no money. I'm miserable all the time. I spend all of my free time commuting. And by the time I actually do get home, I'm too tired to be a fucking person. Not to
Mhm.
mention, I don't make enough at this job I'm working 12 hours a day at to even have money to enjoy my life or have any semblance of fun.
Right.
And I mean, I'm sure that's similar to you living in Los Angeles. Like, we're in the two most expensive places in the country other than San Francisco.
Mhm.
And, we are quite frankly at a disadvantage because of the way that we look like. And a lot of the progress that has
Mhm.
been made in terms of body acceptance, body diversity, and body positivity has really been walked back post-COVID. And, it makes it that much more important that we are abundantly clear about what our worth is, what we bring to the table, and the skill, talent, confidence, and charisma that we possess in
Mhm.
those moments.
I wanted to touch on something a moniker or a label, what have you, that you mentioned, and I wanted to touch on that, especially for overweight actors, is the term character actor,
Mm-hmm.
which I've been labeled on all my acting career. That's what I was labeled as. Now I've studied pretty intensive type of method acting, or pretty intensive types of methods of acting,
Right.
including method, Meisner, Stanislavski, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
that really chalk out a character. And I've always tried to lie to myself that I'm a method or I'm a character actor because of these schools of thought that I follow. But I've come to understand that I'm a character actor because I'm not pretty, and I don't have a six pack and chiseled jaw. The more I've gotten into acting, the more I've realized that there is no such thing as a character actor. When
Yeah.
you
There's
really
just
think about,
actors.
yeah, there's good actors and bad actors. When you think about your favorite actor, they're a character actor, 100%. And if you think about the worst actors that are big nowadays, like, I don't know, Tom Cruise isn't very good. He can play.
I disagree with you there. My opinion about Tom Cruise has changed when you take the Scientology out of the question, because that's the biggest knock on Tom Cruise. When you take the Scientology out of the question, Tom Cruise is fucking incredible. I'm sorry, but Tom Cruise is incredible. He plays the same character a lot, but this is a total diversion from what you were talking about. But like I've thought about this a lot recently. Have you seen Edge of Tomorrow?
No, I haven't seen it, but I've seen like a lot of trailers and stuff. I heard it was good.
I have to admit, I fucking love that movie. It is one of the few action movies that has come out in the last decade and a half where every time I see it on a streaming service, I'm like, I have to watch it. And the character that he plays in that is amazing. Because it is the total opposite of the Tom Cruise hero character that he plays in every other movie. The guy he plays is quite literally a cowardly little shit. They're like, the whole premise of the movie is he's like the PR guy for the world's military, and they're like, we're going to send you to the front lines. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. I am too scared. I don't want to. And then they're like, yep, nope, fuck you. And then he tries every single possible way to get out of it. And it's honestly amazing. And I think the Scientology and like the crazy wife shit has done him no favors.
When you think about even like very famous, handsome leading men or something like that, like a Christian Bale, I would absolutely call him a character actor. But in his normal life, he is very like, Western, like good looking, quote unquote. He's got nice eyes, he's got chiseled cheekbones, he's got the West likes about men, But I would 100% would call him a character actor. Meryl Streep, beautiful woman, character actor,
Oh, yeah.
But these are all they're all good actors. They're not,
right.
Because what is acting if not playing a character? And the simplest definition,
Yeah.
If you're playing yourself, then it's a documentary. It's not a film. It's not a story. It's not fictional. It's just nothing,
Right. And that's 100% true. Like, if you're not playing a character, if you're playing yourself in everything that you do, you're just, you're just a pretty face that they're putting on screen. It's like when it's what it is? It's after they kicked Megan Fox out of Transformers, and then they just kept putting a different model in the main female character every time, right? Michael Bay was like, give me a hot woman.
Megan Fox is a great example. Not to knock down women or anything like that. I love my femmes, but not a good actor. It's not.
I
agree with what you said about Pavarotti as well. Like, I loved Chris Farley. I loved John Belushi. Philip Seymour Hoffman, these big boys,
I mean, Philip Seymour Hoffman is arguably one of the greatest actors of all time. I mean, good Lord, R.I.P. Philip Seymour Hoffman.
I just showed my girlfriend Capote for the first time the other night. I mean, she was floored. She was like, I can't even picture him like playing another character sounding differently, because it was so specific and so chiseled out. And he's a big boy. In regular life, he was a big boy. But I still don't consider him a character actor. He's just a fucking phenomenal actor.
It's very unfortunate that when you think about how many talented people have been overlooked purely because of what they look like, whether it be their size, the color of their skin, where they grew up,
their sexuality,
their gender, any of those things. Like, when again, it really comes down to that you can't knock yourself for not being someone's flavor, I think, is one of the hardest things to learn. And it's especially difficult when you're in a rejection-based field, like we are in the performing world, where there are, quite frankly, a million people that look just like us, that are all equally as talented as us. And it's hard to accept that a lot of times it doesn't have anything to do with you, but it is then especially difficult when everyone is telling you, no, it's your weight, 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 it's your weight. It's like, no, you're just fucking saying that because you lack imagination. God damn it. And it's so frustrating. It's infuriating, because again, we can't control other people's opinions of us. We can only control our opinion of ourselves. We can only control the work that we're putting out into the world. We can only control the way that we present ourselves. And that's why I say this all the time. What you look like doesn't matter, but how you present yourself does. And that's the most important thing, because the more authentically yourself you are, yeah, it's going to be threatening to some people, but at the same time, it's going to be freeing for a lot of others, because they're going to be like, that's the voice that I'm looking for. That's the person that I want. That's the character that I want. And it's difficult to find that North Star and continue to follow it when everyone is waiting around every corner with a pickaxe trying to cut your knees out from under you at every single turn.
Mm-hmm.
And
the greatest gift I ever gotten in my performance career was getting to play Tony in West Side Story.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And because it was the greatest gift, of course it's a great role, great songs, loved it. But the greatest gift about it was that I found out that I could do it.
And you got to be the leading man for once.
Right. I found out I could do it. And everybody else doubted me, and everybody was like saying, "Oh, I don't know." But inside I was like, once the show was finished, I was like, I did that. I got to do it, and I did it, and I did it relatively well. And now I know that I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when everybody else says that I can't, I have proof to myself that I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, those leading man romantic roles, I know some guys who get cast in them say that they're boring and they'd rather have our goofy fat guy sidekick characters. I would love to be Romeo,
Mm-hmm.
It's so lush, and it's so divulgent, and it's so it's like, to me, like the poetry and the character itself is like a dream,
Mm-hmm. Right.
And guys like us don't get to play those types of characters.
We don't get to be Demetrius or Lysander. We just get to be Bottom over and over and over and over again.
Right. And I love Bottom. But
Bottom's great. I love my dry oats, but it's also important because we deserve to see people like us being the hot guy, right? Like we deserve to, the people that are younger than us, or the people that look like us, that aren't performers, that aren't models, that aren't, that are just muggles, right? They fuck JK Rowling, but it's a good term. But they deserve to see someone that looks like themselves in these roles, because it also, it is really important to have Shrill, Adie Bryant, being able to be the leading woman, to be able to tell her story and to be the main character and be a fat character that is capable of love, capable of getting fucked, capable of being the object of someone's desire, and having all of the depth that any regular lead character of a show actually is, other than just the comic relief, right? Yeah. That is so important. I know my friend Olivia Dreitzen from the Fresh Starts Registry is like, where is the rom-com with the, middle-aged, overweight, single mother who is the object of desire, right? Come on, these people overwhelmingly exist, right?
Yes. What the fuck is this? And yet we struggle to name one fat actor who's working consistently today.
Zach Cherry.
You say Adie Bryant. I immediately thought of Beanie Feldstein in Funny Girl.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant. I thought,
I just watched her as Monica Lewinsky in American Crime Story Impeachment. She was fantastic in that. God, that it's all the characters in our political lives today. God, that was the beginning. What a nightmare. It was especially funny seeing Kobe Smulders playing Skeletor, aka Ann Coulter.
God, it's like she's melting
now.
Yeah. Ann Coulter looks like she's melting. It's like she's in the last scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Hate is a hell of a drug. It's pretty unbelievable. Yeah, man. It's one of the reasons why. Have you watched Severance?
No.
You have homework, motherfucker. You got to watch Severance. It is the best first season of a TV show I have ever seen. And one of the reasons why I love Severance so much, besides the fact that it's literally perfect in every single way, the writing is perfect, the set design is perfect, the acting is fucking perfect. But Zach Cherry is one of the main characters in it. And Zach Cherry's character is the smart guy. excuse me, extremely confident, capable, smart guy. And
Oh,
it's one of the few times you get to see a fat character, and like he's funny for other reasons, right? But it's one of the few times you get to see a fat character just be capable, you know? And not the butt of the joke, and not the idiot, and not the, I'm the nerd who's smarter than everyone else, but I have no social skills. No, 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 no. Zach Cherry his character is unreal in that. And I genuinely can't wait to see what they do with his character arc. You gotta start watching Severance tonight and text me, because it's weird. It's fucking weird. The first 3 episodes, you're like, what the fuck is happening? And then the last 3 are just an utter masterclass in building and releasing tension. And from a technical acting perspective, every character essentially plays 2 characters. It's Adam Scott's Walter White.
okay.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So just for some more context, like, what are some of the things, like, you seem a lot further on the road at 22 than I ever was, in terms of being comfortable and confident in who you are and what you bring to the table. What are the things that you're finding to be the most difficult, kind of pushing out the external stress of needing to, like, now being done with school, having to make money as an actor, things like that, but like in terms of what things people are saying to you in terms of your appearance and how you may need to change your appearance? Like, let's walk through a couple of those scenarios, and let's just like talk through how to deal with that, because I'm honestly, I wish I had the honestly emotional fortitude that you had at 22, because I was the type of person, and I've talked very openly about this, like, people would say shit like that to me, and I would not only interpret it as absolute truth, but as if it was God giving me the 15 commandments, and telling me that, like, you are a fat sack of shit and you will never be worth a goddamn thing unless you lose 200 pounds, you fat fuck. And like, then that would just repeat in my head over and 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 over again, until I would starve myself to near death, quite frankly. And would just, like, it was just this, like, thank God I live in a state where or in a city where you can't have a gun, because I would have put lead in my head if I would have been in the South, for sure. And like, how do you do it? Because I'm very impressed.
Well, I mean, the way I got to where I am, and I am far from perfect when it comes to body image. I still have my days when I look in the mirror and all I see is a fat sack of shit. I think the biggest thing for me was clothing, and I always loved fashion in a way. I especially hair. I always liked doing my hair up nice and everything. But I never understood that you could be fat and fashionable at the same time.
Yeah.
Because, like, apart from you, fat models, I can count on a hand. Yes, it's very, and especially when I was growing up, and I'm sure it was even worse when you were growing up, you didn't see any. And so I just didn't know. And then one day I just decided, like, because I have really big thighs, right? And I have to buy big pants to make sure that they're not, cutting circulation off of my thighs. And one day I just was like, what if I bought pants that went over the belly instead of under it? That way I don't have to keep hiking them up, right?
We love a high-waisted pant.
Exactly.
We love a high-waisted pant.
I've never gone back because, one, it fits so much better. 2, I could tuck my shirts in and not look like, I'm spilling out of my pants.
Yep.
3, I never have to hike them up ever again. There's so many things. I have a cool belt buckle now, like I feel so much more confident. Like, I know, when I had to go from like a size 48 to a size like 54, to fit over my belly, it hurt a little bit. But then I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, wait a second, this really works.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
And it was more of a trickle thing. Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a second for everybody listening, because this is something that I am a very firm believer in. A high-waisted pant, especially for fat guys, is a fucking secret weapon in terms of not only making you look taller, it elongates your silhouette, and it ties everything together.
Hmm.
Okay. It's difficult once you get up to, above a size like 56, 58. It's difficult to find pants. That's something that we're hoping to address soon. But, and it's pricey, but it makes such a huge difference because it elongates that silhouette, and it really, your ass isn't hanging out the whole time, your belly's not hanging out the whole time. You can buy shirts, you can tuck them in, there's so much more you can do with all of those outfits. And it kind of acts as though it's like a semi corset girdle situation, where if you're wearing them up to your waist, like it really does make a huge difference. And then you can do the whole kind of like 70s sexy big pant vibe. And my personal favorite are the Wrangler cowboy cut denim. They
Hmm.
are they are built to withstand thunder thighs like ours, because these jeans are literally made for riding fucking bulls.
Yeah.
Okay, they are literally made for riding bulls. They're terrible in the summer. They're way too thick for the summer, but for the winter months, they are unbelievable. And if I am correct, they go up to a 56. Hold on one second. Let me check. On cowboy cut, original fit. They go up to a 54, but the length goes up to a 40 as well. They have another cut. The Rancher ones, I think, go up even higher.
Mhm.
And they're cheap. They're $40.
Yeah, that's not that bad. And especially because I'm only 5'10", and most of that is in my torso. I got stubby little legs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when they're riding high, the bottoms of my jeans don't get caught under my shoes and get ripped to hell, make me look like
Yep.
an idiot. You know,
Yep.
there's so many. There's so many. That was such a key moment. It sounds so stupid and insignificant, but when I just pulled my damn pants up, I was like, whoa. Because especially because I have like an hourglass figure a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
the patriarchal, masculine femininity, that's a more feminine silhouette in the Western ideology, right? And my internalized misogyny was like, no, I don't want to look like a girl, that
Right.
kind of thing. But when I put the belt right where my love handles are, straightens me out, makes me
Yep.
a square.
Yep.
It's the key. It's the key. And
Yep.
black t-shirts. I have 30 different pairs of black t-shirts. Black
Yep.
t-shirts tucked into jeans. It's the best look for a fat guy.
It sure
You can't
is.
compare.
Nope.
You can't compare.
We'll
It's
have
so
to get
easy.
you a Hot Fat Guy Club T-shirt, because the other thing that I really like is I'm not much of a screen print guy. I like plain shirts, but I got to put my brand fucking logo on everything.
Yeah.
And so I very intentionally made it the biggest possible screen print that I could, so that it helps with the thickest fabric cotton as possible, so it helps maintain the shape of the shirt itself. Because you know, there's nothing worse when I sit down and these fold and the shirt folds underneath, right? God, I hate it so much. Even now, I'm still like, nope, don't want that. And the screen helps to like keep it svelte at the front.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's so great. And I when I looked at myself in the mirror, I was like, wait a second, like I can be attractive, at least to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else is gonna find me attractive. Fuck it. I'll find myself attractive.
Right.
And
And
I
then
just
once
kept
you get to
going.
that point, other people will find you attractive, because that energy fucking radiates.
Right. And I so I started to be more cautious about my clothing. That was number one because I believe that like like things like Queer Eye, for example. I love that show. But people walk away from it, and you have to remember that it's not just an outward appearance, it's an inward thing.
Mm-hmm.
However, an outward appearance certainly can help you start to fix what's inside, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
and when I started to get a little bit more fashion savvy and understand what I needed, by the way, for fat guys, you only need three pairs of pants: jeans, black pants, and tan pants. You're going to be set for life.
Yeah.
If they fit you well, that's it. That's it. And you probably never need another pants the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's those three types of pants, and you're good.
Yeah.
But when I started doing that, I came back to school, and this was a big thing that started to help me manage what was inside. Was I started I started using alcohol and abusing it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It got to a point where I decided to get sober and join a program, and that was the best thing that's ever happened to me, because it showed me the inner things that I need and should and really want to work on,
Mm-hmm.
and it helped me, because although I felt maybe okay on the outside, the inside was still cobwebs and dead bodies. It
Yeah.
was awful in there, and
Yeah.
I was using drugs and alcohol to try to fix it, right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
not a fit for anything.
Yeah.
And when I started to really do that interpersonal work through sobriety, like, it opened up this kind of feeling that like it felt really freeing, because
I
I think
mean,
a lot of people. Go ahead.
the work that we have to do to break ourselves of an addiction is very similar to the work that we have to do to break ourselves from the cycle of self-hatred. Because at the end of the day, what it is, it's an addiction as well. It's a dopamine loop that we're putting ourselves on where, it's much easier to stick with the demons that right? The pain that versus the pain of changing. And if
Mhm.
I've spent my entire life being my own worst enemy and hating myself because it's what I thought I was supposed to do, because it's what everyone else told me that I should feel based on the way that I look or the way that I act or whatever, right? Those demons, they're sitting on the same bench together. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
yes, let's join hands and torture this poor individual and make him feel far shittier than we should, you
Yeah.
know? And it's how we break ourselves of these numbing behaviors.
Right.
So good for you for doing that. That's amazing. Congratulations. That's great work. I am a very pro substance person, except for when it comes to alcohol. It's wild to me that the most widely acceptable substance that is pushed down our throats also happens to be the one that is absolutely the worst for us.
You know, I was never much of a pot smoker, but I'm gonna be real. Like, the friends I had who were big potheads, they were lazy sometimes, but they were a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I mean,
they're good people.
when I started smoking, it was like, oh, I all of a sudden made so many more friends, and I actually quit smoking about 6 months ago, and now I'm like, my God, this makes being social a lot more difficult because
Yeah.
you like, it was so easy to like go bum a cigarette off of someone or give someone a cigarette, and then like boom, you have a 10-minute friend built in, right? It's an easy icebreaker, right? It's an easy way to start a conversation because you can be like, oh, hey, can I bum a smoke off you or can I borrow your lighter? And then you can just be like, how you doing today? And then boom, you're in.
Yeah. There's a commonality there. You have something in common,
Yeah.
even if it is a gross habit. That's very true. And alcohol is like that too. Only it pickles your liver.
You're ahead of the game at 22, my friend. You're ahead of the game, and especially in terms of like where I was at your age of just, being content with who you are and what you're bringing to the table. And it's very admirable. And I'm a little bit jealous. And listen, I wish I could give you more like bright and starry eyed advice, but like embrace the suck for the next 8 years. Everything sucks until you turn 30. Because it's just like you're in this major transitory phase where like when you don't have the structure of school anymore and now you have to self-structure your life and you don't have the easy access to guidance and your peers and the financial strain of existing is a lot more, and like we're 10 years further down the line to the end of the world than we were when I was at your point. And it's just, it's get used to embracing the suck and finding the good within it, because it's the only way you can survive. And just like take those, everything happens to you so you can learn a lesson and like really take those lessons, and at a certain point you'll be able to just like put it all together and use that to cut your way through life like a hot knife through butter. But in the
Right.
meantime, you really do just kind of have to lean into the shit. Because there's no avoiding the shit. Like everything we want in our lives is on the other side of doing some shit that we really don't want to do and we really don't want to have to go through, but we have
Yeah.
to. You can't eat the grass unless you eat the shit. You got to eat the shit to get to the grass.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the
No,
instinct.
right. And like, thank God I have a very, very stable and loving relationship,
Mm-hmm.
because like when I was out there looking, I was the worst. I not like I was a jackass, but I was dating apps for fat guys.
Nightmare.
Dude, oh my God, it is god awful. First of all, I met my girlfriend on Hinge. Don't know how. Was don't take our love story as like advice to go on those dating apps. Don't. It sucks. And it is awful. I think even for a guy who's not classically Western attractive in the common sense, I would still say that I'm, relatively good looking. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if my face was busted. If I had a six pack, you get like a million replies.
The
That's all it is.
the issue with dating apps is when you let an algorithm decide your attractiveness. There's a number of major reasons with dating apps. My friends at the Fresh Starts Registry actually did a podcast episode about why dating apps, especially now, suck. I'll link that in the description. These companies are all owned by the same company, essentially. Like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, they're all under the same umbrella parent company. And they don't make money unless you stay miserable and stay on the app. And it's amazing because like when I use dating apps now, I get nothing. When I go out into the real world, I do quite well. Because the other issue with dating apps and with like first of all, most people present themselves poorly on dating apps. It doesn't matter how good looking you are, your dating profile probably sucks. The other issue is you can't judge someone's energy. You can't judge someone's personality. You can't judge someone's, effervescent humanness in the world. And it's so much more difficult to decide whether or not you're actually attracted to someone on a deeper level other than I want to fuck that from a dating app. Like it I use this disclaimer every time I say this, but because I live in New York City and the dating pool is factually larger. There are more people, more opportunities for me to go out and try to meet people here. But get out into the wild, go talk to people, go to any party, any event, any fitness class, any bar, and just talk to someone that you're attracted to and get very good at getting rejected, because it's a lot better than having, putting out 80 million swipes when you're sitting alone in your house and with every swipe and every match that you don't get, just getting progressively more and more depressed and feeling worse and worse about yourself. Mm-hmm. Flirting is a lost art, I feel like now. People don't know how to do it unless there's already that like, oh, I know she wants to go out on a date with me kind of thing. And like flirting is not that hard. There was an Austin Butler video that I just saw of him on a red carpet for something, and there's this Australian woman interviewing him, and like Austin Butler is objectively hot. He's weird, but he's hot. Yeah. And he goes up to her, and there's like a little bit of Elvis comes out, and all he does is ask this woman questions about herself, and she is swooning over him. And she's like, I should be interviewing you. He's like, nah, I don't like talking about myself. I want to talk about you. And you can just like, I wish they would have shown a picture of her feet just so we could see how wet the floor was around them. Yeah. The big dumb smile on her face of just like, oh my God, was amazing. And literally, like, granted, he's a movie star, he's hot, he's whatever. All he did was ask her questions about herself. That was it. That's it. So trick question, Alex. Trick question, Alex. What's the number one thing people like to talk about?
Themselves.
God damn it. So for all of you listening that are looking for dating advice, because technically this is a dating advice podcast, but we're fucking pivoting on this episode. Literally, if you want people to like you, ask them fucking questions about themselves. they will remember that. They will always remember the person that lets them talk about them, because there's nothing we all love talking about more than ourselves, because we're
Right.
all narcissistic, yet we're all our own worst fucking enemies. Like,
That's why I'm on the fucking podcast.
exactly. You know, there's also like, there's the level of like being able to fall in love with yourself kind of thing too, where like you don't, you know, I feel like a lot of us revert back to pushing our own stories onto people when we're worried about like trying to impress them or prove to them that we're cool, whether it is in a first date situation or you just met a stranger at the bar situation, or you're trying to make a new friend or whatever, where in reality, the thing that people really want is to be asked questions about themselves and have opportunities to connect with other people, where it's like, oh my God, they really listen. And like, you got to remember the shit that people tell you, which is hard for me because my brain moves too fast sometimes. But like, you know, it's like I have a crush at the gym I go to, and we always end up at the locker next to each other. It's like a communal locker room thing where there's locker rooms if you have to change your stuff. But if you're not changing, there's like a communal locker room. We always end up at the lockers next to each other. We almost always end up at the stations next to each other, because I go to this boxing gym. It's like treadmills, boxing bags, lifting kind of thing. And she definitely, I introduced myself. I know her name. It's either Morgan or Monica, but I immediately forgot it after she told me. And every time I'm just like, oh, fuck, what is it? God damn it. But yeah, tangent story. But it's, you know, the more you're comfortable with yourself and who you are, and the better you are at really just asking other people questions, the more charismatic, the hotter that's going to make you. And at the end of the day, people are attracted to what they're attracted to. Like, everyone likes a different flavor. There's a reason why Baskin Robbins has 31 fucking flavors. Is like, there are women that are not at all attracted to the Chris Hemsworth, Brad Pitt body types, and they really want the Jack Black, Chris Farley, Jim Belushi guys. Like, ask yourself, why is... I can't remember his name. Who played Tony Soprano?
James Gandolfini.
Why? James Gandolfini's a fucking sex symbol, and he's a balding fat man. Like, ask yourself why. Because I know a lot of women that would throw themselves under an 18-wheeler to have a chance to bone James Gandolfini. Because that man is oozing charisma. Like, he is the definition of a hot fat guy.
No, he's also daddy, you know? Yeah. You think about Chris Pratt before he got ripped and after.
I fucking hate Chris Pratt.
I hate Chris Pratt too. He's like a Christian conservative there.
Yeah,
but
he's a dickbag.
Yeah, he is. But when he was on Parks and Rec, like early seasons, that is like every girl's dream, basically.
Yeah, actually funny. And before he opened his mouth in public.
Right, yeah. He was funny, but he was schlubby. He was goofy. I think in a lot of ways, I've modeled my behaviors a lot like him. And before I met my darling of a human being girlfriend, when I would go up to girls in public, 85% of the time I got their number. And it was because, you know, I was just a sweet guy who wanted to know more about them. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all. The bar is in hell, you know, which sucks for women. It's kind of good for us, unfortunately. You know, we want our females to have, you know, the man of their dreams, but they will settle for a person with somewhat decent attitudes, you know, and you know, I think also what it is, you know, when you're out and about, especially if you're a guy who is like one of us, you know, I think it's kind of like acting in a way where it's like know your role, know who you're playing, you know. If you're like James Gandolfini, if you're kind of like a big burly, you know, father type, you know, try to figure out, not in a creepy way, but try to figure out how to play into those strengths, because there are girls that really like that.
Right.
For me, I have a high voice, I have big chubby cheeks. I was kind of like the cute, like, you know, boy next door kind of, you know, goofball. Right. And I played into that, and it worked all the time. Yeah. Not on dating apps, but it worked in real life. Right. And that's how I got, you know, that's how I'm so incredibly grateful and happy with the person I'm with, as I'm sure you are too.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I have this has come up in every episode that I've done, but I call it the Rachel Dolezal effect. Do you remember who that was?
Yeah. Whoa,
Yeah.
that's a crazy name.
So I've broken this down in every episode, but Rachel Dolezal is a white woman from the state of Washington who was an NAAC chapter president and had convinced herself and a lot of other people that she was an African American woman.
She's
Um,
transracial.
yeah,
That's
and
what she calls herself.
I don't encourage her behavior, but I do think the important takeaway from that nutcase of a human being is if you tell yourself you're a lamp 10,000 times a day, you're eventually going to believe you're a lamp. And when it
Mhm.
comes to building your confidence, whether it is in your, in your dating life, in your personal life, your professional life, whatever, you do have to kind of figure out the character that you want to play and the like aspirational version of yourself that you want to become. And if it is difficult to see that, use inspiration for other people. For me, it was James Dean, and James Dean the actor, not the porn star, and Jack Black.
I love James Dean.
Yeah, and like it was like the synthesis of those two that kind of put me down. It was like, okay, that's what we're going for. And then as I got more and more confident, it evolved even more to, like Jon Snow. Hair look was based off of Jon Snow because I was obsessed with Game of Thrones. I will never forgive David and Dan for what they did to my show. But anyway, just like find the role, find the character that you want to play that will get you to that point where you can then become the most confident version of yourself. And that manifests in you effortlessly. Sometimes you got to just give yourself the kickstart to do that.
I think so. James Dean and Jack Black are my exact ones too. If you ask me what two, it would be those two too. And
Yeah.
I think that there is some science to that because Jack Black, go on TikTok, look up Jack Black. All you're gonna see is thirst traps from women my age,
Yeah.
and above who are obsessed with him.
Yeah.
He is like a sex symbol now, right?
Yes. Well, and
And
that's the other thing is like this is what the alpha verse incel red pill guys don't looks maxing bros don't
yeah,
understand is that like again there's a whole horde of women and of people that would throw themselves under a semi truck to have their shot with Jack Black because of who he is and what he brings to the table. And like it's just it's so much more than just what you look like. It's your talent, it's your personality, it's how you treat people, it's the way you make people feel more like the most authentic version of themselves. It
yeah,
doesn't matter what you fucking look like.
yeah. And James Dean, for example, like if he's not necessarily like a name that everybody knows. I'm unfortunately because he's one of my heroes.
Mm-hmm.
But if people are looking for inspiration on anything, really, if you look at James Dean, you look at he is considered a sex symbol, but he's not a sex symbol in the way that other men from that time were, like a Cary Grant, who's very buttoned up and straight laced and classical gentleman kind of guy. James Dean had this sensitivity and this openness and a way to connect, and that is such an important thing, especially for women who nowadays are so much more interested in emotional and in sensitive men,
Mm-hmm.
instead of like some gym bro idiot. And quite honestly, if there is a woman who is only like only wants some alpha male Chad idiot, you're not gonna want her. She's probably kind of she's probably a bitch.
Again, like those people, as much as they're frustrating to deal with and to be around, I say this all the time, they're doing us a favor by telling us who they really are so that we don't waste our time with them.
Right.
And again, everybody likes a different flavor.
Mhm.
Everybody likes a different flavor.
And I don't
And
blame people who don't like chub. I mean, it's everybody's got a preference,
yeah.
but I think it's important that especially nowadays with social media and dating apps, it's so much more difficult to connect with people
Yeah.
inwardly and then reach to the outward. Everybody is connecting outwardly and then going inward. once they have decided that they're okay with fucking you.
Right.
But you should decide to fuck somebody after you realize who they are inside, you know,
Yes and no.
and connect with them.
Sometimes it's
Well, I
about the
mean,
moment, not the person.
yeah, sometimes you need to knock one off, and I respect that. But if you're looking for a real relationship, don't go into it, you know, drooling over somebody's ass. Go into
Right.
it thinking about how they make you feel internally, you know, not how
Yeah.
hard your dick is, you know, because
Right.
that's not going to get you anywhere. I mean, then it might get you laid a couple times, but it's at the end of the day, is that what you really want? You
I've
know, if it
spent
is,
I've I've spent a lot of time in my modeling career around objectively the most beautiful people in the world, and let me tell you, a lot of them are boring, and their whole personality is built around what they look like. And um, there's nothing wrong with that, but that only goes so far. It
yeah,
only goes so far.
struggling breeds character, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when you think about the people who have the biggest personalities, like they have shit, they've had or have still shitty lives,
Yeah.
you know. And I mean, you know, in a lot of ways, you and I are privileged, you know, in our Western society. You know, we're still white, we're still men. You know, we still got some advantages, you know. And I don't want to say that we're some kind of we're you know we're martyrs for some kind of, you know, ugly representation or different representation, because, you know, I think you and I are both still attractive white, you know, men,
Right.
and we're still, you know, on we're still high on the feeding chain, you know.
Right.
But you know, we have some past, and we have some struggles that have bred us into, you know, people with character, people with ideas and thoughts and morals and opinions that are important, you know.
It taught us empathy a lot sooner than it was taught for other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big thing. And I have spent a lot of time thinking about this. This is a big reason why the Hot Fat Guy Club exists, is that if it wasn't for where I grew up, how I grew up, and the access I had to as many queer people in the theater community, and also just having grown up in San Francisco, who were living such authentic lives, being who they really were, even despite the societal pressure to not. I can see. I always go back, like, and think about all of the opportunities I had, where if I existed in today's current internet landscape, where I could have easily become an incel, where,
Oh, easily.
if it wasn't for being a theater kid, quite frankly, and like being a fat kid and being different, it gave me the ability that, like, when my queer friends, when my transgender friends, when my black and brown friends, when my immigrant friends would like tell me about their life experience and how their life was different from me and how my privilege was, quite frankly, privilege, it I was much quicker to understand what they were talking about and empathize with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it like being the fat kid that did theater, who everyone thought was gay, and like they weren't wrong, but at the time I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It did make it gave me the empathy to like hear what people were telling me and being like, yes, I believe you, that is true. And then seeing it in the world, be like, yes, that is objectively fucking true. you know it we A lot of people like to think that they have it worse than everyone else. It's like, no, 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 it's the world. It's no, 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 you're no, you don't. A big reason why the Hot Fat Guy Club exists is to create that space for everyone to come together, tell their stories, give people the opportunity who maybe haven't met someone from that other walk of life yet, to be able to empathize with them and see the truth in what they're saying and what the issues that are facing the world are. And the fact is that, like, for as much as all of our stories are different and the things that we've dealt with are different, at the end of the day, it all really does boil down to some of the same things. And like, there are things that we as hot fat white guys will never understand, but that doesn't mean that we can't empathize with it and support the people that are going through it.
Right. Yeah.
So
And that's and I wish I had the upbringing. Like, I grew up in a small town outside of Pittsburgh, and this is all facts. The first black person I met was when I was 16, and the first openly trans person I met was when I moved to California for college.
Makes sense.
And so and yeah, and I did not have that the I didn't have that kind of thing. And growing up at the time on the internet that I did, so easy for me to slip down that red pill fucking looks maxing bullshit,
Hmm.
and I could be some kind of alpha chad idiot misogynist racist now.
Yeah.
But and that's the thing, is that, like, it doesn't necessarily need you don't necessarily need a to be thrown in the deep end of diversity in all forms to have empathy, because it really is an internal work, and I would say that for people who are or have grown up in places like I have, do your research. You got a little fucking brick in your pocket that tells you every single thing ever. you
Yeah.
know do your fucking research,
Right.
because when you're a grown ass man and you're acting like Andrew Tate, nobody's to blame but yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a good place to start with that, if you really do want to do that work and do that research, I mean, this is a good place to start, but this is nothing compared to some of the other resources that are out there. Do yourself a favor and read A Will to Change by Bell Hooks, because that will change your
Mhm.
fucking life. I mean, that book is truly unbelievable.
Mhm.
And on that note, we are just about out of time. Alex, is there anything else that you want to cover before we leave today?
I think it was very therapeutic and very informative, and hopefully it was therapeutic and informative to listeners. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel good about what we covered today, and I
Yep.
think I'm good on my end.
Yeah. We'll leave it at this, man. Or I'll leave it at this. You're so young. You're a baby. You're 22. Like, again, you're in one of the most difficult transitions there is from, like fake adult to adult, right?
Mhm.
And the career pressure, the stability pressure, the financial pressure that you feel right now, you're not the first person to ever feel it. And you're not alone in feeling it. And the only thing that you can do is control what you can control. And control is just an illusion. All right. We have no control over anything. Our entire lives could change tomorrow for something that's, like when COVID happened, all of our lives changed instantly. And it was something that was completely out of our control, at no fault of our own. Right. And
Yeah.
the things that you can control as an actor is your dedication to your craft, the skill with which you put forward at your auditions, and like just make sure that you're getting your shit out, you're getting your shit done. And like, I wish I was better at this, but like, create your own opportunities and like tell the stories that you want to tell for yourself, and create the roles that you want to tell for yourself, and like make your own shit. And it's very much easier said than done, but you seem like a very capable person and you seem like you can pull it off. So we'll come back for another episode in like 6 weeks or 2 months, and see how things are going. But like, at the end of the day, you just have to know that anything that anyone else has to say to you about why you have to change, unless they are someone that you have deemed their opinion worthy of really taking seriously and listening to, and give them the power to affect you in a way where you want to go and make that change, the only opinion that really matters is your own.
Yeah.
And you seem to be able to be very honest with yourself and realistic about what you need to do and what needs to change. And you got to just keep pushing stuff out. I will also suggest, if you're looking for a class to take, my teacher Leslie Kahn is a great acting teacher in LA. She has in-person classes and Zoom classes as well. And one of the things I really love about her is she really understands what the job is, right? What
Mm.
is our job as an actor? To get hired,
Right.
right? What is our job as an actor? To understand what is on the page, down to like such a micro level of like, all right, purely based on how the script is spaced out, is this a single camera or a multi-camera show? What is the archetype of the person that I'm playing? What is the, what are the casting people looking for? Like, like really the minute granule, what is the fucking job? Because now you have the technique, but now you need the skills to do the job, right?
Mhm.
So highly recommend Leslie. She's expensive,
Thank
but she's worth it. but man, you're killing it. You're doing great. You are indeed a hot fat guy. And thank you for your honesty and vulnerability today, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. It feels very good.
You're welcome. And all right, for everybody listening, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the video. And we'll see you next week on another episode of Hot Fat Guy Club podcast. Peace out, Girl Scouts.